believe, had a change of plans due to the assassination of the former prime minister of Japan. And we have to talk about this because the takes I have seen from Americans and people who aren't Japanese have been absolutely god awful. Okay? I want to make sure that we all know that assassinating democratically elected leaders is a bad thing. It is not good. It is not fun. It is not fashionable. It is bad. Okay? And we can get specific about it. And I'm saying that not as a Shinzo Abe fan, okay? I think the guy was like politically intelligent. I think he had a lot of decent points when it came to rearmament in Japan, but I also believe that his continued denial of Japanese war crimes during the Second World War was terrible. So I'm not saying this as somebody who's a simp for Shinzo Abe because I'm some soy redditor, okay? Who was like, Shinzo Abe, Japan prime minister, Japan anime, Japan video game, Japan cool, Shinzo Abe best world leader, okay? But we need to just go into. I feel like I have to explain to people, like walk them slowly through why this is bad for countries, the precedent this sets, instability that can devolve from situations like this. So, at around 5 p.m. local time in Japan, Shinzo Abe was giving a campaign speech. Here is a picture of him giving the speech. This is moments before the assassination took place. A person walked up behind Shinzo Abe. I would say he was about, I don't know. He wasn't like super close, but he was close enough. And he took out a firearm and shot him. Here is actually photographs of the shooter being detained as they run up to him and grab him. And he drops the weapon. This isn't some 870 Remington, okay? This isn't some Mossberg shotgun. This isn't a shotgun I've ever seen before. I've never seen a gun like this. And as an American, as a gun nut American gun culture boy, okay, I've seen a few guns in my day. And guns, aplenty, to be for real with you. None of them look like this. Which leads me to believe, and I think investigators to believe, and it seems that it's come to light, that this was most likely a homemade firearm. That this wasn't some off-the-shelf shotgun that this person went through all the correct processes in Japan to get, or that he smuggled into the country. It's that this guy was working on homemade weapons, and other homemade weapons were found later by investigators, and this is a homemade shotgun. Whether it was 3D printed or how exactly he made it, I don't know for sure. But it seems that the shooter shot Shinzo Abe with a homemade shotgun. The reason why that's interesting and why it's of note is because gun crime in Japan is astronomically small. Like, unbelievably small. This assassination alone is going to make up like 50% of like Japan's gun deaths this year. That's how small Japan's like gun deaths are and how much gun violence is in Japan. It's unbelievably small. This might end up being like 10% of Japan's like gun crime for the next 10 years or something. It's like one death is that much in Japan. And so what you're going to see is a lot of people trying to use this as an example as to why Japanese gun control actually doesn't work. And you're going to maybe even hear for the next few years, like every time somebody brings up gun crime in Japan, they're going to say, oh yeah, gun crime in Japan. Well, they ban all these guns, and yet Shinzo Abe was still shot. If you still look at the graph, if you still look at the raw data, Japan is ahead of the curve of basically everyone when it comes to gun crime. There's like 120 to 130 million people in the country, and they'll just have like a dozen max, like, or just like a couple like gun deaths and gun crimes a year. I can't show you the shooting, obviously, but to give you an idea of like how he was assassinated, basically He was speaking to this crowd of people down here. He was over here speaking, and the guy went behind him and shot him. This is right after the shooting. You can see people attending the Shinzo Abe and pinning down the shooter. What else is there about the story to say? Not much. I would say that a lot of us didn't know immediately that he was dead. I know there was some people putting out like stories about heart failure and stuff like that. But I mean, we all kind of knew once like he was shot in the back twice with a shotgun that Shinzo Abe probably wasn't gonna make it. I saw the video. I mean, it was there wasn't really much coming back from that. The shooter seems to be a young man who we don't know the motivations about it yet, but CNN has published something saying that the motive for the man who's called Yamagami, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Basically, they said that he's 41, he's unemployed, and he holds hatred towards a certain group to which he thought Abe was related. There's not really much more to say. Shinzo Abe was a behemoth of Japanese politics for like 9 years. He was prime minister from I think like 2007 to 2008, and then it was like 2012 to 2021 or 2. He was the leader of the country for an extremely long period of time. Like the longest in I think like modern Japanese history was like 7 or 8 years. The leadership position in Japan like gets traded around like candy, and Shinzo Abe was somebody who broke up that pattern, somebody who was able to hold on to it for a significant period of time. He'll probably most likely be remembered for his economic policies. I think it's like called like Abenomics or something. I'm not the person to explain the deep complexities of it to you guys, but something I can say is that foreign policy wise, he's probably going to be most well known for Americans and the international community for being the person who wants to remilitarize Japan. And when I say remilitarize, that means like, you know, buck off the idea that they need to have a very small peacekeeping force and, you know, build up their army so they can better counterbalance China and defend like places like the Senkaku Islands. And like I mentioned earlier, his previous statements on Japan's crimes during the Second World War II, which I find personally reprehensible. Now, there's a few things that I'm scared about when it comes to this assassination. The first thing, now that it's looking like the reason he was assassinated was due to some conspiracy theory, I'm a little scared that, or a decent amount scared, that if this is a conspiracy theorist or some whack job, that this is going to bring more attention to this whack job idea. It's going to bring more attention to this conspiracy theory, and then it can cause more people to follow in this person's footsteps and then go assassinate other democratically elected leaders or other politicians or just other public figures. While I know if he says some crazy ass shit, it's going to be hard to believe that anybody else is going to follow in his footsteps, if it is because it's a conspiracy theory or for any reason, really. But we all saw what happened with Elliot Rodger and how one person doing a terrible, terrible act for absolutely asinine reasons was quickly followed up by other people. And then people went out as copycats or trying to follow in his footsteps to do similar attacks. So that's something I'm worried about. I'm worried about people copying this guy in Japanese society and trying to assassinate other politicians now that he like has showed like a model on how to do it, you know? Basically somebody else looking like at this and saying, hey, don't go out and take all the time to try to buy a gun or smuggle a gun into the country. Don't use a knife. Make the gun your own. Target politician. Like people can follow this model, and that's something that scares me. The second thing that scares me is normalization of violence. In Japanese society or in any society, if people start shooting politicians and assassinating them, that can normalize a certain level of violence that is absolutely horrific, and is something that personally scares me, because the last thing I would want is people to start shooting the politicians instead of, you know, running against them in elections in a democratic society. That's how those societies start to fall apart. It causes instability. That can also lead to even worse violence on the road as politicians interact with that sphere. I mean, like, let me ask you this question: could you imagine if if Marjorie Taylor Greene or Madison Cawthorn or Lauren Boebert had a lot of influence in a society which was slowly normalized to the idea of assassinating politicians, or was becoming easier and easier and easier and happening more and more and more, right? That's something that scares me significantly, is the normalization of political violence, right? And that's something I don't want to see in Japan or anywhere. And so if somebody comes up to me and they're going to tell me, well, well, personally, I think it's good that he got assassinated because I don't like A, B, or C about Shinzo Abe. I don't care. Number one, I do think it's kind of gross. Okay. Shinzo Abe has done some terrible policies, and I agree with you. But on a personal level, I find it extremely distasteful. But besides that point, the instability that it can cause in a country, the normalization of political violence, which can lead to more deaths, and a democratic society breaking down once politicians are like open season, are all things that you don't want to see in Japan, and are all things that could be an outcome of assassinations like this. And so whether or not you like Shinzo Abe personally, or you like his policies, or anything like that, that should be the main concern. And let's say you're some ultra lefty, right? Who's like, well, you know what? I still don't care, because at the end of the day, Shinzo Abe is like, what he said about the World War II crimes is just too unforgivable for me. The thing is, though, when somebody sees a right-wing politician or a center-right politician get assassinated, I think immediately everybody just assumes, hey, this is going to be a left-wing assassin, or this is going to be an assassin for, I guess, for the people who are trying to justify this, which, again, they are few and far in between, but I see some people spazzing out on Twitter. Sorry, I can't think of a better term at the moment. There's a good chance that the person could be further to the right. There's a good chance that the person could be assassinating Shinzo Abe, not because, hey, I want you to stop remilitarization, or I want you to stop these terrible statements on Japanese war crimes. It could be, I want you to be more racist. I want you to be more nationalistic. You're not going far enough. Go further to the right, you globo cuck, right? You're not serving the legacy of the empire. It could be any number of far right slogans or ideas that could be motivating that person. And so immediately when you see a politician you don't like, in the majority of circumstances and like some democracy, getting assassinated, your first reaction should not be, oh well, how does this affect the political landscape, and oh, how does this help any, how could this help our side if I didn't like this guy. You don't want to normalize this level of violence, because if you do, there is this scary reality that, number one, it could be turned against you eventually, or that it could devolve like your society into more violence. And so it's a terrible idea. Not to mention, nothing was even accomplished by this assassination. He's not even the current prime minister of Japan. He had to resign from his position a while ago. Not a while ago, maybe like 6 months ago, due to health reasons. So it's not even like this person accomplished anything. All this person accomplished is Shinzo Abe is dead. The political landscape is mostly unchanged, and now people in Japan probably just feel less safe when it comes to like the stability of their democracy, or the safety of their democratically elected leaders. So it was just a needless killing. Yeah, I mean, no matter what, it was a needless killing because nothing was accomplished. Like there's not, like, nothing changes in Japan from this. The only thing that changes is this. The only thing that could really change from this is like, and this is the thing that scares me the most, is that people look at this and they're like, okay, we got a blueprint now. Whether it be Japanese nationalists and fascists, or I don't know, the remnants of the Japanese Red Army, for God's sake, I don't know. If you don't know what the Japanese Red Army is, look into it. They're crazy, man. Did you see his post with the Che Guevara posters and clothes? I did not, but let me just be honest with you. Having a Che Guevara poster does not mean you're a communist or a socialist, okay? I'm just look, if there's any communist leader that has been more commercialized, I have yet to meet him. Che Guevara has been effectively commercialized by by capitalist people, by businesses. So him having a Che Guevara shirt does not mean he's necessarily a communist or socialist, or that this assassination was necessarily had anything to do with capitalism or socialism.
Apparently, that visit was only confirmed late last night. So, how the suspect managed to find out about it and prepared his attack, that remains to be seen. But as you say, a suspect, a 41-year-old man who lives in the city of Nara, has been in police custody. He's been quoted by a couple of local media reports saying that he had disagreements with Mr. Abe's policies and decided to attack him. But this kind of violence is extremely.
See, that's different than what I was reading on CNN. What I was reading on CNN was just like he believed that Abe was part of some group which he hated. Which, what does that even mean? I don't know what that means. But now, I guess local media is saying that he had some disagreements with Mr. Abe, which I guess would make more sense. What those disagreements are, I still don't know. We still have no clue what motivated the shooting. We're just gonna have to wait until we get like a more concrete picture of what his motives were.
Extremely rare. So as you can imagine, it comes as a huge shock to everyone in Japan, and it has just been confirmed by an official, by the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, that he has passed away.
Yeah, and it's also shocking because political violence is incredibly rare in Japan as well. But I've just noticed that world leaders around the world.
This is what scares me. It's because Japan doesn't really have much political violence. And this would be a terrible thing to normalize or to give terrorists like a model to copy in Japan. Like, don't even attempt to get the shotgun. Just make the guns yourselves. And I just don't want to make copy. I just don't want a bunch of copycats popping up, man. That's the thing that scares me the most about the effect this could have on Japanese society, is that other crazy ass reclusive terrorists can just copy this model.
To Shinzo Abe, but online they're noticing that a lot of Chinese nationalists are celebrating his death, showing just how divisive he was there, and that he didn't have friends everywhere. How do you
That's the thing, is that a lot of people on the internet don't like the guy. Again, I wouldn't vote for him if I was in Japan. I'm gonna be for real with you. Either there's a bunch of reasons why I wouldn't vote for him. The primary one being the nationalism. Okay, that would probably be the primary reason. But again, whether or not you like his policies or you like him personally, the effect that political assassinations can have on a society is chilling, it is scary, it is bad. And so even if you don't care about Shinzo Abe on a personal level, right? Because of course we could also have sympathy for him and his family on a personal level. The effect this could have on Japanese society is chilling. I was talking about this assassination. This assassination is crazy. This is some crazy historical stuff in Japan. So basically, the guy on the right here, right, is, I believe he was like the leader of the Japanese communists, right, who had actually a decent amount of popularity post World War II, right? And the guy on the left here, I believe, is a like Japanese nationalist of some sort, right? I really forget the specifics, right? But he just straight up ran on the stage and assassinated this communist guy on the right. This is like a very, very, very infamous assassination. During a televised debate, a 17-year-old right-wing ultranationalist charged on the stage and fatally stabbed him
morally corrupt,
with a traditional type short sword. The assassination weakened the Japan Socialist Party, inspired a series of copycat crimes against other socialists. See right here, this is my main concern. It is, so this isn't even unprecedented in Japanese history. It is not even just out of like a personal like, oh god, this is a tragedy when somebody or anything like that, right? And you can have that as well. It is, what if people start copying this? Because it wouldn't be the first time in Japanese history that a political assassination led to copycat assassinations of other politicians. That is very, very scary. Oh, Oh my god, one of you morons fell for it. Which one of you morons in chat said that he had a Che Guevara poster earlier? That's Hideo Kojima. One of you guys legitimately was like, oh my god. One of you, okay, for those of you who don't know, earlier in chat, there was a guy in my chat telling me that, like, well, actually, he might be a communist and lefty because he had a Che Guevara poster. Chat. Somebody in my chat came to me thinking that Hideo Kojima killed Shinzo Abe and was trying to use pictures of Hideo Kojima to prove that the assassin was a communist. Thank you, chat. Once again, you guys are just the best. Thank you. Thank you for absolutely, once again, disappointing me in the most brutal of ways. Thank you, chat. Hideo Kojima misidentified as Shinzo Abe assassin by news channel and politicians. Oh my god. Is this the Japanese version of Sam Hyde, where like after every shooting they blame it on Sam Hyde? Is this the Japanese version? Does this happen in Japan? After every like death, they're gonna blame like Hideo Kojima? Between next games, he decided he had enough of Abenomics. Jesus Christ. Where far-right French politician Damien Roux, perhaps not understanding that it was a joke, retweeted images of Kojima with a comment that translates to "the extreme left kills," helping spread it more. While Roux eventually did delete the tweets, it seems the danger was already done. And yeah, apparently, even in my chat, God, you guys, I can't believe you guys thought Hideo... I mean, come on. It seemed the danger was already done. It might have helped mislead at least one news station in Greece. Earlier today, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shockingly assassinated. Then the internet did its usual shitty thing of making bad jokes out of current events, and eventually led to a news station in Greece misidentifying famous game developer Hideo Kojima as the assassin.
Is an immoral,
morally corrupt, bankrupt man. Smart dog. Thank you so much for the Prime Gaming. Hey, everybody. By the way, I'm sponsored by Rise of Kingdoms. Put an exclamation point ROK. Please download the game. Play the game a little bit. It helped me a whole lot. Or if you can't do that because you're boring, lazy, and probably a QAnoner, you can always use your free Prime Gaming sub and support the channel. If you have a Prime, Amazon Prime account attached to your Twitch account, it's free. Just throw it at me. I'm just saying. You got it available. Why not? Or you could gift. Then the internet did its usual shitty thing. Shortly after today's assassination, some shitty people in a dark corner of the internet joked that Abe's suspected killer looked like Kojima. Does he? Oh, I don't have the picture up anymore. Does he look like Kojima? Not really. He's kind of like, there's no there's like no identifying characteristics here. Like, I don't. Eventually, this reached Twitter. Let me see. Reach Twitter. Let me see it. Oh, God. Jesus. Tetsuya has confessed to his actions, and the police admitted he wanted Abe dead because he was disappointed and upset with him. See, everybody's saying, like, CNN said it was because he didn't like a group Abe was a part of. BBC said it was political disagreements. Now this Greece television is upset with it. Like, what? Like, come on. Let's just wait. It seems like everybody's kind of contradicting each other now. Or it's like all so vague, it's like it means nothing. The police have learned that the culprit had served in the Navy Special Forces and taught a unit in medical school for dementia patients. He was passionate about Che Guevara. See, oh my God, I'm sorry. I can't get over the fact that you guys you fell for it. Got that. See that, chat? Not only were you wrong and you spread Greek fake news, you're also racist, chat. Here's a new segment. Let me look at this.
Δυνάμεις του πολεμικού ναυτικού και δίδασκε ως καθηγητής σε ιατρική σχολή μαθήματα φυσιοθεραπείας για ασθενείς με άνοια. Είχε πάθος με τον Τσε Γκεβάρα.
So he's passionate about Che Guevara. All they had was a single picture of him next to... Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Greece. Once again. Thank you. The nation of Greece. I appreciate it.